Hello and welcome to Unit 1.2, Video 11 for Mr. McGee's 9th grade biology course at Arizona School for the Arts. This video series follows the biology coloring book by Robert D. Griffin. In this video, we're going to take an introductory look at proteins and amino acids. So biologically speaking, proteins are among the most important biological compounds. The reason they're so important is because virtually every chemical reaction in a living cell takes place with the help of proteins, specifically proteins called enzymes. In multicellular organisms, they might make up structural components too, like claws and hooves or hair and skin and muscles. And also in multicellular organisms, they're important chemical messengers. So for example, hormones that tell different parts of your body what to do at different times of your life, or antibodies which are important to tell your immune system that there's a pathogen invading your body. So that way your immune system can come and kill it before maybe it eats holes in your brain or causes a stomach ulcer or something horrible. Proteins are chemically long chains of amino acids, which means they're a polymer. They're a long molecule made up of smaller parts. And as the chain of amino acids is put together by the mechanisms inside your cells, proteins spontaneously form three-dimensional structures like sheets or helixes or loops or clumps or who knows what. Millions of three-dimensional shapes can be produced by proteins. The reason that the shape is so important for a protein is that they are going to operate as a molecular machine. So the structure of the protein is directly related to the function, the task that that protein has to do. Proteins, like enzymes, are really complex and really important. This enzyme here, this picture here, is an enzyme called catalase that we'll be working with in the laboratory in a couple of days. It's a complex protein that does one kind of chemical reaction, just like every other enzyme. Every enzyme has a unique job, and it only does the one thing. It just does one job, and that's it. And so, as a result, your cell, every cell in your body has to have thousands of enzymes in them in order to do the thousands of things that those living cells do on a daily basis. Proteins are polymers, which means they're large molecules made up of smaller parts, and specifically the smaller parts that they're made up of are amino acids. And so on this slide, it's sort of silly. They're sort of gumball looking things that are stuck together. But when you get a long chain of them together, what you see on the right is that they form really complicated three-dimensional structures. And we'll talk more about that in future videos. How do you make a protein? Well, you use dehydration synthesis. That means you take an OH from one amino acid and combine it with an H from another amino acid, creating a molecule of water. And that means you can form a bond between the rest of the amino acid that's left there. That's called a peptide bond in this case. So proteins, being long chains of amino acids, have lots and lots of peptide bonds in them. Another name for proteins is polypeptide. It means that it's a long chain of amino acids with many, many peptide bonds in between each amino acid. Amino acids themselves are really interesting. A lot of times you'll see amino acids referred to as building blocks of life. And the reason they are called that is because they're the building blocks of proteins, and proteins are essential for life, right? So no amino acids, no proteins, no life, and the computers just run everything, which is really sad, unless you're a computer, in which case, great. Anyway, there's lots and lots of different ways that you could make amino acids, probably hundreds of different ways you can make amino acids, but it turns out that only 21 of them are biologically important. That's a really small number, but that 21 amino acids, those 21 amino acids can be combined in lots of different ways, so you get these really, really complex enzymes, and that's next video. Anyway, every single amino acid is composed of two important parts. The first part is the common group. That's the same for every single amino acid. What makes one amino acid different from another amino acid is the side group. That side group has the unique properties, or gives the amino acid its unique properties. It makes it polar, or maybe it makes it negatively charged or positively charged, or who knows what. Makes it bend to the right or bend to the left. So when cells are making proteins, those proteins have to be a specific shape. That means cells have to put the amino acids in the specific right order in order to make that shape happen. And if you mix up the amino acids, then you get the wrong shape of the protein, then the protein doesn't work. Or maybe it works better. I don't know. Depends on the environment. Getting way ahead of myself. We'll talk more about that later. What I need you to do right now is take a look at this list of amino acids. You can see that they're broken up into different categories. I would like for you to memorize the amino acids, the category that they belong into, and the structural formula for each of them. There's only 21 of them, so I should expect you to be able to do that by Monday. I had you going. That was a good one. No, what I'd like to show you with this chart, this is the 21 amino acids that are found in living things. What I'm going to show you here is that every single amino acid on this list has a common group. Notice they're all identical. They're all the same. And then each amino acid has a side group. And it's the side group that gives the amino acid its unique properties. Hang on a minute, I have to let in my stupid dog. Come on. He just got out, now he's coming back in. Anyway, so the side group gives the amino acid its unique properties. And if you look at the side groups within each category of amino acid, you can see that they're all sort of similar to each other. They're sort of structurally similar, and more importantly, they all have similar properties. For example, some of them are going to end up being hydrophobic. Look, the nonpolar ones and the aromatic ones. Those are hydrophobic. And notice that the aromatic amino acids are all pretty similar and the nonpolar amino acids are all pretty similar. Why would nonpolar amino acids be hydrophobic? You should know that. And then there's these hydrophilic ones. Some of them are polar. Why would polar amino acids be hydrophilic? Some of them are positively charged, some of them are negatively charged. They look pretty similar within each category, don't they? Just something to think about. So what do? You take this chain of amino acids, and as soon as it's made into a chain, it spontaneously takes this kind of crazy shape. This is a very simple enzyme. It's not a very complicated enzyme. It's not a very big one. But look at all the twists and turns and folds and all the crazy stuff that's happening here. How does the cell know how this happens, or how to fold this polypeptide chain? Well, your cell doesn't have to know how to fold this polypeptide chain, because the order of amino acids determines what structure this protein is going to have. And how does it do that? Well, part of the answer is knowing what kinds of amino acids are in what parts of this protein. For example, you see this loopy part here, and see how it's all clumped together with another loopy part? Those probably are composed of amino acids that are hydrophobic. They clump together in water because that allows them to be protected from the water that surrounds them. They clump together. Water pushes on them. Remember when we took a look at drops of oil in water, and we said that oil has a neutral charge, and so it's hydrophobic, and water kind of pushes small bubbles together? Same thing is happening here. The water is pushing on the hydrophobic parts of this protein and causing them to clump. What about this loopy part? This loopy part is out into the water, which means that the amino acids in this loopy part must be hydrophilic. If they were hydrophobic, they'd be clumped up, hiding away from the water, but here they are extending into the water. They have to be hydrophilic, which means that maybe they're positively charged or negatively charged or polar. I don't know. But the point is that by choosing the amino acids that this protein is made out of and where they go in the sequence, that allows this protein to fold up spontaneously all by itself as soon as it's in water, which is awesome. That's mind-boggling. You should be blown away. All right. That's the end of this video. Please complete the corresponding review questions. Be prepared to show me your notes in class. And one more thing. It's your bunny of the day.